Yo, what's up, guys? So this is going to be the final snippet for the second episode of the 5 Kage Summit podcast. I've been dropping snippets for the last couple of weeks, or probably a little longer than that, and I know a lot of people are worried, like, oh, you're giving the whole podcast out for free. That's not actually the case. Eternal Hokage and myself talked for over 2 hours, and if you take in the total time we were on call for about 4 to 5 hours when we decided to record this. And so I had just over 2 hours worth of audio in order to edit down, and basically the final version of the podcast will be coming out next week. I'm doing this intro on April 13th, so the day after Easter, so you guys will be getting the podcast exactly 1 week from today. And I'm looking at the final product now, and it's clocking in at just under hour and 39 minutes. I might add in a couple more segments. I'm gonna listen to the podcast again, make sure everything flows right. But with that being said, if you guys have not subscribed to Eternal Hokage, make sure you guys head over to his channel and subscribe now. I'll leave a link to his channel down in the description box. With that being said, let's get into the podcast. You know, but on the real though, right? On the real, I think we need to have like a serious conversation about like the difference between the Boruto anime and manga, right? Like when you just look at what could have been when it comes to the anime, in particular when it comes to what they could have done with some of these antagonists, like it just blows my mind that there was so much opportunity there and we didn't necessarily see it kind of built on. Like I don't know if I necessarily want to just throw this character completely under the bus, because you know from the last podcast, whenever I threw pop shots at certain characters, people got really upset over it. So I mean, the legend has it that I got Hinata in fucking witness protection program because I was just throwing all these pop shots over, and Naruto wasn't able to put on his white knight suit and save her from all the destructive shots that she was getting. So I totally understand how I kind of rub Hinata fans the wrong way, but you know, it is what it is. I troll every character. Hey, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go for it, right? Let's just go for it. I mean, but like Boruto, like, and again, because I mean, we're having an honest conversation here. Like the series is not fucking perfect. Like one thing I've said over and over is that I personally feel like one thing that the Boruto story, the manga's starting to do this, but I feel like what the anime could have done that it really would have benefited from was give us an overarching threat. Like I'm not saying like introduce an Orochimaru type character, but give us a overarching threat to where there's something kind of lingering in the background. Again, not like a villain or something, but and the conflict of like Boruto potentially losing everything, I don't think that's strong enough. I think it's a cool concept, but I don't think it's been executed as best as it could. I think the manga's starting to build up to it, but like I feel like there should have been a little bit more tension. It doesn't have to be melodramatic, but I feel like there should have been a little more tension there. That way there's a better sense of payoff to it. What do you think about that?
And that's precisely why I was so disappointed with Urashiki's character.
Oh, fuck yes.
Oh, man. I'd like this to be another 1 hour video for my channel, but let's just briefly...
Nah, you know what? Fuck it. Keep that one brief, and we can talk about that on yours, because I could go on about Urashiki. Jesus fucking Christ, could I go on about that character?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to be brief, but we'll get into that. Not only Urashiki, but the series as a whole, like the flaws and the good side. But one of the, I'd say, the major flaws of the Boruto anime, and the Boruto anime does have flaws, which I acknowledge, I don't just fanboy over the series, is the fact that in the anime we rarely get like a good villain, like you know, this threat that's lingering in the shadows, as you said. And for the longest time, I thought Urashiki was it. Okay, there's this guy who doesn't appear often. You know, he's gonna be a huge deal or whatever. And then in the time travel arc, he literally turns into a screaming retard who screams, "I'll kill you, you trash!" It's like he becomes one of those generic villains, those villains that you get in like one episode, like a bandit or something like that.
God,
that was so disappointing, man.
He was so fucking broken. Like that Rinnegan ability, I love the weakness for it, to where it eats up a bunch of chakra, because we know time space jutsu eats up a bunch of chakra. So but the idea of him going forward in the future and seeing all these different possibilities, it's like Yuha Bak from Bleach. So you watch, like it's so like that, but there's a huge negative impact. Like this dude was fucking broken. 2 different Rinnegan, an ability like that. Like this should have been like Urashiki that should have been like a 30 episode arc with this character.
Yeah, Yeah, and then they turned him into a shitty character who just screams, "I'll kill you." Yeah,
he was a Scooby-Doo villain. Like I'm gonna show my age a little bit. Again, I'm 27. Like with Scooby-Doo, like when they say, "Oh, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for these damn kids," and then they ripped the paper bag off the guy's head, and it's like, "Oh, it's the nice guy from the beginning of the episode." It's like, "Oh, it's Urashiki. He's the one behind this." Like, "Oh, Urashiki did this. He's capturing the Biju chakra." "Oh, Urashiki, he took the bicycle from the toddler and he ate our icicle." Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, he was fucking wasted.
He was, man. He was wasted, definitely. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I mean, that's a flaw of the series, of the anime so far. But I wanted to elaborate also on why when you said like Boruto's different in the anime and manga, there's also a good explanation for that. Of course, they're the same person, but what you have in the anime you have a mix of slice of life and plot heavy / action packed arcs, right? And in the manga, they just focus on action, hype moments, and stuff like that. That's true. That's why in the manga, side characters are non-existent, no world building. Well, not no world. Well, there is some world building, but you can't compare it to the animes. That's, in my opinion, why the manga is incomplete in that sense, because the full Boruto story is in the anime. But right now, in the anime, which is about to change, because the Mujina Bandits are about to start in like a week or so, in the anime, with the slice of life-ish episodes right now, well, when there's no enemies or whatever, you're just gonna like goof around the village and not do much. So that's where, you know, the Naruto and Boruto comes out, because you have these slice of life episodes, not much is going on. Boruto's kind of acting funny here and there. In the manga, you have Kara attacking every 2 chapters, and that's where they behaving differently, because different stuff is going on in the manga. As soon as the manga stuff gets adapted into the anime, Boruto's gonna go into his like serious mode or whatever. But it's still the same character. It's just that he has this, I guess, more serious side. It's completely natural when you look at the circumstances. But of course, he's gonna have that goofy side from Naruto because he's Naruto's kid.
And like what you said, like the manga is more of a snapshot. Like the versus Momoshiki arc in the manga and the one that you got in the anime, it's not the same. Like it's snapshots telling you what's gonna happen. The anime gives them the opportunity, because Kodachi oversees both of them. He's the head writer for both. So this gives them an opportunity to tell the complete story. It's kind of like I use the Star Wars example, because like with Star Wars, people bitch about how Disney is making people buy all these comics and novels and these visual guides to get the whole story. They did that shit in the prequels before Disney even bought Star Wars. Like when the prequels are coming out, there were certain things that the movies alluded to where if you didn't read the visual guides before that, you just had to accept it and say, okay, so Obi-Wan and Anakin, they are doing this. Anakin smashing Padme. Oh, never saw that coming, but the visual guides filled in. Like with Boruto, if you only watch the anime, there's stuff that the manga touches on that the anime kind of skips over and kind of brings up at a later pace. If you only if you only read the manga, you miss part of the stuff because the anime fleshes things out. In the manga, you see that they built a rapport up, and I feel like if the anime would kind of show more of that rapport instead of having it where fans are saying, "Oh, Boruto doesn't suck the ramen noodle flavored dick of Naruto," and say, "Naruto, you're so fucking awesome. I'm so lucky to have you as a father." Instead, having something like how you have in the manga where Boruto is, you see Boruto and Naruto training and you see them have their squabbles, but then after they have their squabble, like when Naruto used a scientific ninja weapon tool when they were fighting each other, Boruto, after that happens, Sasuke steps in and talks to him, and Boruto walks out of there with an open mind. He doesn't agree with Naruto, but he has an open mind saying, okay, well, he's probably got a reason for this.
We don't know exactly what's going to happen in Boruto's life, but Toneri teased it, the White Snake Sage teased it, most importantly, Momoshiki teased it. Something dark is gonna happen in his life. We don't know what. Maybe it's gonna be a death of a parent. Maybe it's gonna be death of multiple people. I mean, in the first chapter / episode, we see that the village is destroyed. We can assume that a lot of people are dead, right? Mm-hmm. That's a tragedy. So despite him having all these powers or whatever, he's still gonna experience loss, right? And
it's gonna know failure.
Yeah, and failure.
You have to consume everything all together. Like, people want to say it's 2 separate canons, and even Ikimoto and Kodachi said it felt like the stories were going off to their separate levels, whereas they still had some parts where they intersected, but they're starting to go separately, and now they're converging back to one. That shows you that they're aware of the fact that there are differences, and yet at the same time, the streamlined story is still the same.